Good afternoon, everyone. This is Eugene Brown, and welcome to my channel, my YouTube channel, Home Business Opportunities. Just wanted to take just a few minutes to share some very brief thoughts that came to me throughout the day. Just wanted to take the time to share and convey that. And if I had to give it a title, it would be Preparing for the Grind. Preparing for the Grind. I remember in some of my readings, and it came to mind a gentleman. His name is Eric Thomas, Dr. Eric Thomas. Um, he's very unique. In fact, his story, and some of you may have already encountered him, but anyway, he's a professor as well as a world-renowned motivation speaker. But anyway, his story is very interesting and unique, and I would encourage you to make sure that you put him in your library of reference when you're talking about the personal development. And so, in his book, as well as in his speeches in general, he talks about getting his grind, understanding the grind. Even though he doesn't always understand the how in terms of why things that he does, how it's been done. But one thing that's clear and that he highlights is that his focus is that he prepares and he gets his grind on. So that's important because as we move forward, and many times, and I can speak from firsthand experiences that, sometimes we focus on the wrong things. But here's one thing that I've learned is that when you have a determination, I call it the double D's, when your desire matches your discipline, then basically, that becomes a winning formula. So anyway, Dr. Thomas actually partnered with another individual, and I kind of wanted to highlight his thoughts. There's a gentleman, and for you millennials, if you have not taken the time to hear this individual and have him as a point of reference in your library as you are, working on your personal development, his name is Inky Johnson. And the particular speech, he's a motivation speaker, and the particular one that I wanted to highlight or use as reference is impose your will. I can promise you that this is well worth the 45 minutes to sit down and listen to, because you will never find such a triumph story of a human being, an individual, against all odds that were stacked against him. From birth, he was set up for failure. But because at a young age, he knew, because of the environment that he was in, that he did not want to end up that way. So he developed a mindset, a focus, and understood a commitment to the process even at the age of 7. And so as he progressed on through high school, and his ticket that he had the foresight was, becoming an athlete playing football. So as he shares his story and highlights even going through high school, against all odds, because of the him being undersized and whatnot, making it to a major Division I powerful conference, the University of Tennessee. And so this individual was 10 games away from being a first round prospect, NFL. And so, he was well on his way. But the very next game, it was highlighted by a tremendous injury that he sustained. And it ultimately led to a permanent paralysis that he deals with today. And you would have thought, from going through that kind of ideal, being let down, that it would have altered, changed his mindset. But instead, it gave him more resolve to work even harder. And to basically, all he did was switch from one venue to the next. And so that brings me to the point that he highlights, talked about understanding, the difference between the process and the product. Because many times what we do is that we highlight success or the product as success. And the product, as he terms, and again, there is no definitive right or wrong. It's his interpretation, and I personally do concur on a lot of the thoughts that are shared. But the thing that he talks about, the difference between the process and the product, as I said, that many times we define the product as the success, and that being the product is it could be the money, or it can be basically anything that you deem or term, as success. But as it relates to business, why this is important, and I'm going to go somewhere quickly with this, is that because we confuse that many times as we're brought into organizations, and I'm guilty. I speak from experience. Is that when we get caught up in the excitement, we see the money, and so we base our decisions based on our emotions. However, we have not fully understand the process or committed ourselves to the process, what it takes to get there. And the reason why he highlights that, and that's important, because as he shared, because he understood at a young age of being committed fully to the process, it didn't matter, what the end result or the product would be. Because as he said, the product in itself, that could change. As in this industry, I remember, there was a time in MLM, presentations they were done in big hotel rooms when people came out. But now that has changed in terms of now everything is done. You could reach the masses of people internationally just by the click of a button, shooting a video. So that could change. And so what he's suggesting is that because you want to commit yourself to the process, therefore that when life, as it sometimes does, throws you curves, we have mountain peak experiences as well as valleys. And the same works in business, that, we have cycles that we run through. And so if we don't fully understand that, especially in this particular business, American Bill Money, that it's a mail ordering postcard opportunity. While it offers tremendous opportunities and reward, typically comes to the investment that you have put in. In other words, you'll yield what you invest. But it's important to understand that in this business, the reality is that it's a mail order. And so the numbers suggest that 99 times out of the 100, you're going to fail. That's just what the numbers say. Sometimes, those numbers could be squeezed out to 2, and I'm talking strictly offline. Now, sometimes those numbers can be increased when you add other means or methods such as online now, and a lot of people are really booming and flourishing. But the reality is that, speaking to the average Tom, Dick, and Harry, and I put myself in that category, is that we need to fully understand and be committed to the process. Now, this is my 4th day of the postcard commitment that I basically had committed myself to. I send out 50 cards every day. And I know that sounds expensive, and it is. However, because I'm fully committed to the process, basically, I have not allowed myself to accept any excuses. Just like to share another quick thought from you that comes from another gentleman that reading that I highly recommend that you add to your reading. His name is Dr. James Stan Harris, and his book is called "Your Breakthrough is Guaranteed." And basically, I would just like to read a quote that I wrote down so that I won't misquote it or even try to paraphrase it, so that it would be concise. It says that when you want something bad enough, you will make a way. If not, you will make an excuse. A quick story that resonates with me that a man shared said that the neighbor, one day he wanted to make some soup. So he went to his neighbor's house and he knocked on the door. So the neighbor opened the door and he asked him, I was just wondering if I can borrow your axe because I'm making some soup. I need to make some soup. So the man was kind of like, oh, okay, well, sure, but That's kind of his thoughts, So he went and got the axe, and he just kind of like just scratching his head because he was like, "What in the world does an axe have to do with soup?" So finally, when he got to the door, the curiosity got the best of him. So he asked his neighbor. He said, "I don't mean to be nosy, but I don't quite understand, what does my axe have to do with you making soup?" And then the neighbor turned to him and said, "Frankly, quite frankly, exactly." He said that it doesn't have anything to do with making soup, but any excuse is just as good as another. And so that short story has always resonated. And I've tried to always reference that because many times that's what happens, that, we find ourselves getting caught up in excuses. And just like to quickly talk about, just for another 2 minutes, is that some of the strategies when we talk about, preparing for the process. One that it's highly recommended is that, we talk about mentoring, making sure that it was said that, that we surround ourselves with a team, because you don't want to be the smartest person on your team. So making sure, and what that means is that simply that there's always opportunity to learn and grow. So making sure that you're not the smartest person on the team when we talk about personal development. And then with that, and the reason why that's important, because sometimes, because of our experiences as it relates, sometimes we have baggage, that we bring into, our business pursuits. Sometimes low self-esteem, sometimes personality conflicts, sometimes, failure in our marriage, in our, just whatever the circumstance. But the point is that it's baggage. So making sure that we address that. And then, as I highlighted, talking about making sure, that we eliminate the excuses. Just like to kind of, and one other point I would just like to share with you, when we talk about vocabulary, I think it was Ontario Hawkins, I heard on one of the hangouts, him talking about the importance of, before his breakthrough came, he actually, there was a transforming of the mind, renewing of his mind. I'm kind of borrowing a biblical phrase on that point, but they talk about, changing your mindset, developing, your mind, because a lot of times is that we pick up things in our vocabulary, and that old saying that, we speak it into existence. So making sure that we change, and that we're practicing the vocabulary that will only enhance and build upon our characters. Because, as we're moving forward, we want to make sure that we're practicing, or practicing what you're preaching. And so another quick thought, when I had my organization, I remember as I had an individual human resource coming in to help me write our human resource policy, one of the things that she had highlighted and still resonates with me today is that she says that whatever you speak or practice, make sure that it's in policy. So I translate that into what we do today, making sure that, our actions that we convey are matched by, our words, our vocabulary. And last, I would just like to end up. There was a famous quote that came from Anthony Clark, and he said that we were not born winners, nor were we born losers. Instead, we were born to be choosers. I choose to win. I hope that is your sentiment exactly. And I hope that you have found value in this quick presentation. Again, I just wanted to share those quick thoughts with you. And if you did so, please take the time to subscribe to my channel. Again, I'm new, just embarking upon this journey. So please be encouraged if you do find value and like it, to subscribe to the channel. And also, I have in the description box, information has been provided that if you're interested in moving further with this opportunity, please take the time to join the team. Look forward to the next time, and continued success.